meeting. I just can't conduct business without a form. You can open it up. Are we ready to go? Meeting of the Millburn Short Hills Business Organization called to order. Today is Thursday, January 19th, 2023. Take two. The meeting of the Millburn Short Hills Business Organization is called to order. Today is Thursday, January 19th, 2023, and it is just after 6:30. Tracy, can you please read the sunshine compliance statement?
Notice of the time, date, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner. Pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 10(4)-6, etc., the Open Public Meetings Act, notice was posted in Town Hall and the Township's website by notification to newspapers on December 27, 2022, of the schedule for 2023, and by providing notice to the Township Clerk.
Thank you, Tracy. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Tracy.
Alexa Clark. Here. Tracy Katz-Levine here. Michael Parlavecchio.
Here.
Annette Romano. Here. Ashley Schultz.
Absent.
Absent and absent. Stephen Weiner.
Absent with an excuse.
Jesse Mulman.
Here.
Richard Wasserman.
Here. Before we go further, what I would like to do is we have some new faces up here for anybody who's watching at home or in the room. To my immediate right is our new committee woman, Annette Romano, who will be serving as the committee liaison to our beautiful board. And down at the end, we have Lex Clark, who is a business owner of Taste Buddy on Upper Millburn Avenue. So welcome, both of you. And before we go into more, there's more with you later, but I just want to let everybody know who these new faces are on the board. We begin most meetings with our SID mission statement. The purpose of a special improvement district is to promote, grow, and support local businesses, property owners, residents, and visitors. Millburn Township SID ordinance designates a new district management corporation whose mission is to encourage the economic, cultural, and social vitality of Millburn Township through increased marketing and visibility, improved and renewed infrastructure, and local business development and engagement. We now have approval of our minutes from the December 15th, 2022.
Mr. Chair, if I could ask a recommendation of either postponing the approval of the minutes until after the new members are sworn in, or moving the oaths of the new members forward.
Smart, very good. We'll hold on to that. Let's wait until we get down there. Okay, public comments. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, or if you're online, clearly state your name, your address, and speak so we can all hear you. If you're here, please speak directly into the microphone. If you have a prepared statement, I'd ask that you forward it to us and to Tracy at exploremillburnshorthills.org. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And again, anyone who is attending remotely will also have an opportunity to speak in the same 3 minutes. Anybody in the room wishing to speak?
Again, Jeffrey Feld, 11 Alexander Lane, Short Hills, New Jersey. I welcome the 2 new members to be members until you're officially sworn. Again, Happy New Year. We start a new year. I continue my question about we can maybe postpone public comments until after the reports, because it seems like we have constantly a delay. We have to wait till the next meeting that the citizens can comment on reports that are issued before. I think there's an issue that citizens and business owners need to know, and I urge you to continue the hybrid virtual option, because there's some question in the town whether some boards are going to have it or not. But because businesses are still operating at this time, I think you should maintain the virtual option where citizens they can participate by the meetings. I hope you consider that. Issues later today, you had to go out to get an auditor. But the question I had, and this has been an issue that's been floating, is like, who decides whether professionals retain by the open fair process or without bidding? That's not been answered. Also, I don't know who's going to be issuing the 1099s to our professionals. If you don't have an auditor, who does that? I don't know. Is that Weiner as the treasurer? I don't know. But that's something as fiduciaries of a public entity you should be looking into. I recommend you looking into it. The two new members that will be sworn in, I wish you good luck. But there's certain things that you should understand. I hope that you would provide with copies of the 2020 and 2021 audit. I hope you've been provided with the pleadings that have been filed in litigation, because there's some questions as to the validity of this entity. I think you need to be aware of that. And also whether you've been provided by the township's employee handbook, because if you sit on the board, you're deemed to be an employee of the municipality. Up to Jesse, you represent the administration.
I just ask you to just
Right,
direct
administration,
everything
there's
through the
some
chair.
questions that have been outstanding for years, and I hope you go back and look at it. In 2020, when Main Street was closed prior to the formation of the SID, people have been asking for what costs and expenses were incurred. We still have not received an answer. Before the meeting, before Mr. Rillo came and Mr. Ryan Cooper came, there were issues in September and October of 2020 about when people submitted documents that they did not get to the board. Also, I've asked the BA, the predecessor at that seat, to investigate whether the board secretary defamed me by publishing a false and misleading press posting on Happy Millburn that I filed for this litigation. I'm still trying to find out whether he's completed his investigation. Technology is very important. We should be looking into tap into Westfield. There's been articles about how they retained, in the process they went through to retain their executive director. Also, in the last 2 days, there have been cases issued by the state Supreme Court.
I just asked you to wind up,
Statutory
please.
interpretation, but good luck. Do not believe, as a business owner, have healthy skepticism. You need to have healthy skepticism of authority in this town.
Anybody else in the room wishing to speak?
Good evening, hi, Jean Pasternak, 342 Hobart Avenue. I'd like to also reiterate Jeff's comment about keeping the Zoom option available for virtual participation. I think there are a lot of residents that really don't even know that this is available to participate in. I think they should. It's only going to help, increase participation if residents do get involved and learn about what you're doing, but also, the business owners who pay the tax to support this and obviously have things to do, especially restaurant owners and so forth at this time. So it helps to have that Zoom option available. The other thing, I think there are lots of people who are still concerned about the COVID, the RSV and flu circulating, and so they don't feel comfortable coming in person. I have also, I'd like to ask that you consider the second possible time for public comments. So after you discuss things, that people can weigh in and give feedback to whatever it is that's being discussed that evening, rather than have to wait for the next public meeting. I have an observation. Just this past week, I was, getting some food, getting a bagel, having some lunch on Upper Millburn Avenue. And both times I noticed there was sustained police activity at two different businesses. It definitely makes me as a consumer and as a resident feel really less secure being in that area, because those people were there in numbers and for quite a long time. So I think it's important that the public understand why the police are there in those businesses and whether we are safe or there's an issue that we should be concerned about. And the other thing is regarding safety, in lot 14, there's an upcoming meeting, I believe, in February regarding some improvements and changes that are going to be made in that lot. And I think I brought it to Steve's attention and others here that back in September, there was an incident that I was involved in, I think actually, and that was present there as well, where, a car came very quickly into the lot. And I certainly felt, not very safe with the speed and the way in which that car swung into the lot. So I hope that you guys will advocate for better controls, better speed and cameras in that lot. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak?
Hello, Happy New Year, Vicky Powell, 358C Millburn Avenue. I just wanted to comment that I looked at your tentative subject schedule for the year. I just have some feedback. August is usually a quiet month. I would hope that we don't do the web development for small business during the month that people are away, businesses are closed. I think we need to revisit August as a month. You don't even have a meeting in August because it is summertime and it's quiet. So I hope, since it's a very important meeting, that you look to change it to September. Also looking forward to seeing what kind of social media classes that we hope that you guys can do the RFP or whatever it is for tonight. And lastly, I'd like to thank Sid, Steve and Jesse, who advocated on our behalf. There was going to be an event that was potentially going to be during on a Saturday, and a bunch of us merchants were not happy that it was going to be ruining business, that, you know, it was not going to be good for business, street closed, blah, blah, blah. And I want to thank Steve and Jesse for advocating for the businesses on our behalf, because we were not in favor of closing down Millburn Avenue on a Saturday, one of our busiest days. So I just wanted to commend them and thank them for helping us fight and change, and they changed it to an agreeable day, and I'm happy to say that we'll be happy to support them on a Sunday. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room wishing to speak? Okay. Anyone online? Okay, if you're online and you're want to give public comment, now is your time. If you could just place your name on the record, please.
Hi, good evening. Carrie Urso, 514 Millburn Avenue in Short Hills. What is the board's policy going to be in regarding the virtual hybrid hearings? Will you be taking into consideration to those that will be running their businesses during this hour? If you have agreed to keep the hybrid virtual option, it's mentioned before, would you finally have the meetings listed on the agenda in a hyperlink format for the convenience? This is an additional, and also I have a question, is there an additional cost for this option? Since December and all the criticisms, it appears that the Wonder Truck is disbanding its business model. How will this affect the SID? When will property owners expect to receive their 2023 SID assessment billing statement? And how long will they have to pay? The BA has failed to mention in his reports on January 17th, 2023 TC meeting regarding the changes to the garbage pickup in public forum. What impact will this township change have on commercial property owners and their tenants? Will property owners receive a tax abatement because of the loss of service? And can the property owner and tenants hire the current township garbage company? In regards to the document attached in December 2022 minutes, the 2023 Local Arts Grant Program. My question is, Mr. Polavecchio, do you know when this grant is up for consideration and approved by your clients, county commissioners? Thank you and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, thank you all. Okay, we have a long list of administrative items to get going, all very.
Can I just discuss one administrative item since it was brought up?
Certainly.
We have advertised our meetings for 2023 as having a Zoom option. So going forward, we will have the Zoom option until this board decides that they no longer want to, but it is advertised as such. It is a Zoom option, so there's a distinction. If you recall at our November meeting, we had a technical difficulty because this is an option, not mandatory. This meeting is in person. If there were to be a technical difficulty, we would not have to offer the Zoom option. But at this point, that is the plan.
Thank you.
Just one question. There was a comment about the hyperlink to the Zoom. Now, it seems to me we have the hyperlink on our agenda. No?
The agenda that you actually get in the agenda center is a PDF scan, so you can't click it. But if you're on the same website, you can just go to the web page and click the one that she used to get into the meeting.
Okay.
So, and it's on our website as well.
Okay, so I just wanted to see if there was an easy link up to get to that. Okay, let us start with, we quickly introduced our new board members and gave our board member list for the year. As I said, we do have the 2 new board members and 3 returning members. including one in a different capacity. So let's get that all straightened out, even though Stephen's not here. Stephen Weiner has been reappointed as an operator trustee, and his term will run through December 31, 2025. Jesse Molman is back, reappointed at his urging. He was reappointed to a 1-year term as the designee for the business administrator. Yes, zealous urging. But he's a non-voting seat for our bylaws. And Richard Wasserman, who looks tan, rested, right, has been appointed to a 1-year term as the mayor's designee. He's a non-voting seat for our bylaws. Now, our new members, as we briefly introduced, Lex Clark has been appointed to fill the remaining 1 year of Jumana Culligan's operator trustee seat. So that runs through the end of this year, December 31st, 2023. And my longtime friend to my right, committee woman Annette Romano, has been appointed to a 1-year term as the Township Committee representative. So congratulations on your recent election and welcome to you both. And we look forward to a great year together. Okay, so we can vote. We need to, let everybody introduce themselves. That was a little rude of me. If you wanted to just say hello, if you want to start, Lex, tell about your business and how you got to us.
So I own Taste Buddy on Upper Millburn Ave in Short Hills with my partner Angie. I worked in Millburn before at Common Lot, the restaurant, for about 5 years. From there, I worked at a different restaurant and then COVID happened and Angie and I actually met at Common Lot and we decided to go together and open our gluten-free bakery. We also do smoothies, acai bowls, etc. I met Steve before we opened, and from there, I know that the state has helped our business, so I'm hoping that I can help other businesses, and I'm looking forward to this year. Thank you.
And I can say Lex and your partner have been active participants in a lot of the programs we do. So we appreciate your efforts, not only in running a great business, but being a part of the things we do.
Thank you.
And Annette.
Good evening, Annette Romano, lifelong resident of, Annette Romano, lifelong resident of Millburn. Spent most of my adult life giving back. Community service is my my specialty, my forte. I work full-time for New Jersey Transit. That's my other job. And I look forward to working with them.
Thanks, Annette. Okay, just one bit of housekeeping. We do have a vacancy, as I think Steve mentioned. Earlier this year, the Township Committee did appoint Yale Klatt as an owner trustee, and he's since rescinded his nomination. So we'll seek a property owner to fill that role, but the seat for now will remain vacant. Okay, so let's get to the swearing in our new member oaths of office for Lex and Annette. And that'll be administered by Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Wasserman.
I'm sorry?
He has to get sworn in.
Mr. Wasserman is still, was a member and is still a member, just changed his capacity. You'd like to take an oath of office as a non-voting member? I certainly are entitled to.
If there's a question, I will absolutely take an oath with my colleagues.
Give me the spare one and I'll make
Yeah,
a
sure.
photocopy.
I have no problem with oath.
I have filled it. Oh, sorry. I was being.
I will go print one so we can
but
get another
I can-
signature
I can
tonight.
administer this while you're doing it. So if that's okay.
Right, they could sign afterwards.
Right.
Have that.
All right, great. So we'll do, okay, wonderful. All right, so raise your right hand, please. I state your name, do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of the office
perform all the duties of the office
of the Millburn Short Hills Business Organization, Inc. Board of Trustees. Of the, I'll break that up. I thought I was breaking it up. I'll break it up a little bit further. Of the Millburn Short Hills Business Organization, Inc.
of the Millburn Business Organization, Inc.
Board of Trustees,
Board of Trustees,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you. Congratulations. You're all sworn in.
Congratulations. Okay, then we will sign those copies and we'll return it to Steve for the record. Thanks, Ryan. Let's just go down this list. Okay, you'll see on your packet attachment 3, that's the board responsibilities form. So we have that in an effort to encourage participation, provide clarity regarding the board member roles. Steve produced this board member responsibilities form and he'll go through it briefly.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. It's always good for us as a board to be reminded of the process, procedure, and the responsibilities that you as board members, both voting and non-voting, have. And so this short document is something that is worthwhile in terms of reading over. It talks about our organizational goals as well as the responsibilities of the board. We do have an independent budget that needs to be approved every year. We do take official action on vendor contracts, programs, projects, et cetera. And then there are required documents that you'll sign as board members, which you're doing this evening. I did include the composition of the board, which explains who the voting members and ex officio non-voting members are. And then, of course, the meetings and additional responsibilities. We rely on you, Amanda, and myself as staff to promote the organization. And of course, if someone has a question or a query, that you send them our way so that we can handle them as the professional staff, that you attend all of these meetings as best of your ability, both in person or virtually. And of course, all of our fun events. We always love when you come, and we love it even more when you volunteer. So you will not be short on information. We will always make sure you know what's going on. But this is just a short document to cover that. And I want to thank Tracy for pushing this as an item, and I've actually used it in terms of board recruitment. Lex was the first to receive it, which I thought was helpful when she said, well, what does this whole board responsibility thing mean? So having this on hand was very good, and we'll continue to develop this as needed, but it's based on the ordinance and the bylaws. So if you've read those, which I'm sure you all have diligently, you will see much familiar language.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, next up, to draw your attention to conflict of interest forms. Each year, we're required, all of us, to sign a conflict of interest form. I'd ask Mr. Cooper to briefly review that, and then be there for us to sign and return to Steve. Fine.
It's coming down.
So the conflict of interest form that's being handed out will look familiar. You've seen it before. I reviewed it again in anticipation of this meeting. Briefly, this addresses your fiduciary responsibilities as members of the Board of Trustees. You have a brief overview under Article 1, purpose, necessity of the policy, and to whom it applies. Under Article 2, identifying conflicts of interest, examples, illustrations, and the procedures for addressing those conflicts if they arise. Of course, if need does arise, my office and myself are always available to consult with. And this is applicable to all members of the board, voting or otherwise. And there will be an affirmation on the last page of the conflict of interest policy acknowledging your receipt and adherence to the policy during the length of your term.
So if you would all please rip off the back when you sign it. You can keep the examples in the document for yourselves, and then the back portion is for me. And I'll also send an electronic copy for your records.
Do that before we leave.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next, we have election of our officers. So every year we vote to appoint our chair, our treasurer, and our secretary. Currently, I sit as the chair. Stephen Weiner is our treasurer, and Tracy Castelline has been our secretary, all since inception. So now, what I'd like to do is just entertain nominations for those 3 officer positions. I could have a nomination for chairman.
I'd like to nominate Michael Palovecchia for chairman.
Thank you. I'll accept.
Am I allowed to second?
I'll take a second, but you're
Oh,
not.
no, I'm not. I'm not.
You're not voting, but you can certainly second motions.
Okay, second motion. I'll second.
Any other nominations? Okay. If not, then just ask Tracy if you could do a,
Is it a voice or a roll call?
I think you can do a voice without.
You can do,
Without
yes,
contested.
that's correct.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? None? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your confidence in me as the chair. All right, he's not here, but I'd ask for a nomination for treasurer.
And nominate Stephen Weiner.
Okay, it's a motion. Do we have a second for Stephen Weiner?
I'll second.
Okay, any other nominations? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay, Stephen's back for another year. And finally, for secretary, I'd like to ask for nomination for secretary, please. I would like to move it if I can, take a step back. And I'd like to nominate Tracy Katz-Levine. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a mover and a second. Any other nominations? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Tracy. Again, another person who banged the desk and said, I want it.
She's a very good secretary.
Outstanding.
She's very good at it.
That's why it's hard work. Okay, we have attachment 5 is, okay, advisory.
Committee assignments,
Yeah.
attachment 4.
So Steve's put together the list of recommendations for committee assignments to our 4 standing committees. Got lost somehow. Here we go. And those are our marketing, branding, and placemaking. We have events and planning, business advocacy, and bylaws and governance. If you have any questions or changes, anybody to those? If not, I'd ask all in favor to this, please say aye so we could vote on these committee assignments.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, here's your committee assignments. What else do we have? Advisory, appointment of advisory committee, okay. The establishing ordinance for this organization and our bylaws require that we have an advisory committee of 15 members who serve in an advisory capacity to the staff and the board here. So Steve and Amanda do meet with the committee approximately 5 times a year, get feedback on events, marketing and programs, and that informs recommendations they make to us. So the committee is appointed as a slate for 1 year, which ends the end of this year, December 31st. This year, we're proposing 4 new members, including Jumana Culligan, who, as you know, resigned from this board last year, and Jackie Benjamin Lieberberg, who previously served on our board as the mayor's designee. What else do we need to do? Who else do we have?
We have,
So
we have 2 new members.
Right.
Number 5, Davina Shah. She is opening imminently Sweet Tooth Pediatric Dentistry in Wyoming. And then we have Tim Bombachi, who is the owner of Zero Gravity Fitness on Morris Turnpike.
Okay.
I believe everybody else is returning.
So that's the advisory board, and some other news regarding Jackie, who was a stalwart member of this board, the godmother of this board. I don't know what else to call it, co-founder, all those good things. She's got a new role. She's liaison to the Cultural Engagement, Diversity, and Arts Committee from this board. So this will be a 1-year appointment, non-voting seat. Doesn't count towards the quorum, but you will continue to see Jackie's tireless efforts for this community, and in particular our board. So I'd ask for a voice vote to approve, unless there are any comments. None, all in favor, please say aye.
If I could
Oh, please,
just,
go
no, I just, a point of procedure,
Sure.
call for a motion in a second. In
Okay.
advance of the,
Okay,
please.
can I have a motion, please? To approve this, okay, a second,
Second.
okay, all in favor, please say aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Missed it. Okay, what else do we have?
If,
What else am I missing?
when you're inclined, I just want to bring the board's attention back to the minutes. For approval.
Oh, yeah, I do have that as a note on my other sheet. Okay.
We have enough of us to approve the minutes, because it's only Michael and I that are voting members that were here at the last meeting.
It's just those present voting.
It's my position that a quorum is here. You don't have to be present to approve the minutes. But it is at the board's discretion. So you have a quorum. You are certainly empowered to approve the minutes. The board also has the discretion if they would like to wait for more members who are actually in attendance for the meetings reflected in the minutes being approved.
I'll defer to our
Why
chair.
don't we hold them then? Let's hold them. We don't need to approve them this meeting. We'll hold them for the February. Yeah, Jackie, come on up.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, because Jackie is gonna be.
Yeah, it's part of the discussion, for sure.
Part of the discussion, she has a important position. I think.
Absolutely. I apologize. Come on up.
No, Ryan, stay. There's an extra seat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a lot of administrative work to do.
It's a lot
All
of,
right. Now we can get to business.
All right, we have a next special presentation from Beyond Maine. Steve, do you want to tee this up?
Sure. I'm going to invite Kate Giambattista. Kind of close. Kate is the president of Beyond Maine. If you recall, she presented to us at our November meeting in our intimate conference room setting. And the board had some additional questions. You asked her to come back. I did provide everybody in your packet with some of the materials that Kate had put together based on your questions, and she has a presentation this evening which will address some of those. We are not required to take any official action this evening, but certainly we can have a question and answer as well as discussion amongst ourselves at the conclusion.
Thanks, Steve. Nice to see everyone again and also meet some new faces. I have to say, Lex, we're big fans of Taste Buddy. I have a celiac daughter, so it's a very happy, yes, it's good. It's a good spot for us to be able to enjoy out. So thank you. Yeah, thanks to everyone for having me back. I thought we could dive a little bit more into the questions that you had specifically about Beyond Maine. But just as a kind of a general, refresher, what we do is we really bring neighborhood businesses together in one aggregated spot online, a digital downtown. You can go to the next slide, actually. So that all of your businesses are accessible in one place and one cart for customers. So we are a marketplace experience for customers to shop. And we focus specifically on small businesses. So you can kind of think of us like Amazon, but for your local community. So next slide, some general business model practices. We are commission free, so we do not take a percentage of any of the sales that are completed through the platform. We are no code, so that means that a business does not need to hire a developer. If they can operate a social media account, they can run a Beyond Maine shop. We have digital gift card capabilities that are offered for the business specifically, but also wrap around your community as a whole. So think of it like your downtown Millburn and Short Hills gift cards. So gifting your whole community and customers being able to use that one gift card at any participating business that's a part of the platform. And then finally, when businesses adopt our technology as well as downtown directors, they're able to learn from that activity online. So we quickly on a dashboard level provide insights and analytics that can really help a small business grow and understand how online impacts their brick and mortar, as well as the downtown directors and their marketing initiatives, how those impact online traffic. Next slide, please. And I'm really excited because the last time we spoke, I said that we had some cool things in the works, and we've actually just hit the update and the launch button on those last week. So we now have the ability for businesses to join and create a profile free if they're just beyond being curious and wanted to kind of check out what the online community is all about. So they can create a profile page that really showcases who they are as a brand. We like to describe this space as Google or Yelp, but with a Pinterest kind of twist, right? So it's really bringing that visual element, that storytelling of who a small business is, what they do, how they do it, and helping community residents and visitors understand who has the shop down the street, who they are and what they're all about. Next slide. So some of the tools that we focus on developing are really around automation and operations. So it's everything from a customer relationship database for a business, an inventory manager, a message center for customers reaching out to you, as well as that kind of insights and analytics dashboard, and of course, e-commerce capabilities. So it's fully e-commerce enabled to accept orders and communicate with customers once orders have been placed. Next slide. The insights focus on traffic as well as sales. So we give behavioral insights to say, like, how many visitors are you getting each day through your digital door? How many products are they picking up or looking at and browsing? Where is that traffic coming from? So if any businesses use Google Analytics, it's kind of like a light form, but presented in a really nice kind of package deal. So you don't have to look at spreadsheets or dissect that information on your own. Next slide. And then, of course, the resources help guide and really drive growth. So we have a resource center that not only shows businesses how to use the technology, but also provides insights and analytics that are sometimes sourced from our team in the industry. Our team is very well versed in retail activity. I spent over 15 years working for brands, Wrigley, as well as Vera Bradley Designs. I've touched all forms of retail at one point in my career, from mom and pops all the way up to mass merchants. And also we have expertise on the visual side, the P&L side. Jeremy Renno, who you might remember was with me at the last meeting. He's formerly of Macy's, where he led Lids Sports Group, store in store for them. Next slide. And then finally, the gift card program. So I wanted to kind of take it one step further and hopefully illustrate to you how this transaction really works. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So we'll just take a look at so the process is this. Essentially, customer buys the gift card online. It's delivered to them in an email format. They activate that gift card, and then it sits in their sort of digital wallet on Beyond Me. When they're ready to use that gift card, they go into the physical store and present the QR code that's attached to that gift card to the associate. The business then goes online and scans that QR code, so it's taken to a screen where they're able to type in the amount that they need to redeem from the customer, and then from there they redeem the funds. If you go to the next slide, there's some visuals that kind of showcase this. So moving from left to right, you can see we have a customer that's starting off with a Millburn gift card here. It's in the value of $100. They fictitiously go to a store called Buckeye and Bailey that's in town. And from there, the associate's able to scan that code. And then Buckeye and Bailey says, I would need to redeem $45.23 for this sale, this cash sale. And then the funds are then transferred to the business owner's connected account with us on Beyond Me. And so it's directly, pretty much instantly transferred to their Stripe account. And then within 24 hours, directly into their linked bank account through our platform technology. If you go to the next slide, you'll see this is sort of like that completed transaction. So I, as the customer, Kate paid $45.23, and I, as the retailer, will see like I received $45.23 from Kate. So that's kind of, how it works. So a visual example of how it works. So it is redeemable online. The online process is a little different. It's done in the checkout cart, and the retailer doesn't really need to have any kind of facilitation of that monetary exchange. It's just included in their checkout sale and then directly deposited. But for the in-store experience, this is sort of the workflow that would go along with redeeming funds from a digital gift card. Go ahead, next slide. So we are subscription based. That is our business model. So think of it like a membership organization. We have 3 different tiers. So we have a free tier. You can actually go to the next slide. The pricing is. Yeah, so we have our free tier, which is our just directory listing. Accounts can be created and just, a part of your digital community, but in a kind of informational setting. So it may be your traditional directory that you have for your downtown with just some added benefits of pictures, videos, calendar of events for that store, anything, testimonials that customers may have written them can be showcased here as well. So it's a little bit more informational than just a traditional directory. Moving up from there to be able to participate in that gift card program that we just discussed, it's $360 a year for the business, and that's their total fixed cost. If full commerce is something that they'd like to enjoy through selling of additional goods and listings, or even syncing maybe an additional online shop that they could be operating, we fully integrate with Shopify, and we have plans to continue our integration capabilities throughout the year. So we're working to actively bring more systems into our sort of network. $600 a year is the total fixed cost for a business for their membership to be able to have kind of full capabilities of the software. Later this year, we will also be adding to that full commerce suite package scheduling capabilities. So if a business needs to schedule appointments or has an existing booking system that they use, they'll be able to link that booking system for like one cohesive page. Next slide. And then stepping up from there, so those are our small business individual programs. We have a sort of town package. It's a town square package, which for $15,000 gives you 25 full e-commerce business seats, as well as the gift card program wrapped around it. So a lot of the downtowns that we've worked with have liked this package because it gives them the opportunity to invite businesses to join for a free year or co-op it in some way, but they have more control over how it's adopted and delivered within the community. And then from there up, for those that are wanting to take it to like next level, and do something that's totally custom for your town, we have a white label version of our software. We're currently executing this for the state of South Carolina with weshopsc.com. We're building right now. That's powered by our technology, and we're launching that spring of this year. So we do have a white label version, but the capital expenditure is a little higher on that. It's $50,000, and then it's a $5,000 annual maintenance fee from there to build that capability for your personalized community marketplace. And then finally, we have a storefront marketing program that, for businesses and communities that launch with us, it's something we're piloting this year. I'll just quickly mention it. It's a combination of public art and repurposing vacant spaces that you might have in your downtown. So what we're piloting in Montclair later this year is wrapping storefront windows that are vacant with public art submissions, and where it's in conjunction with property owners as well as the downtown business improvement district leaders and the businesses to kind of create these like visual stories that are, in underutilized spaces. And so our team has put together a pretty cost-effective package to do this. We just need the support of the organizations to kind of solicit the art, choose the art and choose the story. And then our team can print and install the pieces on the number of buildings and units that have been designed. And then there's also opportunity to kind of incorporate the businesses that are on the platform to tie in the commerce through some QR code placing for, quick access for customers to kind of like get to that site to shop or learn more about the artwork. So the next few slides are, this one actually, and we'll get to this, the art size. The community workshops and the technical support. So this is really our onboarding process, if you kind of want to lump it into that, or an ongoing kind of technical support. So what that really looks like is it can be a combination of virtual or in-person work group workshops. We usually host a minimum of 1 and potentially up to 3. During COVID, they were all virtual, so would love to kind of get maybe a potential in-person workshop happening for communities, but traditionally, we've had them virtually. We'll host 1 to 3, and they're open to any small business that's interested. We train them on how to set up their profile, where to find the resources, the guides, so that they can research things on their own, and just kind of troubleshoot any questions that come up in sort of a group facilitation. Technical support is ongoing. Businesses always have access to us through email at support@beyondmain.com or any of our, support assistants. And then the software actually does have guided tutorials that they can access in videos. This is just a kind of like a screenshot splash of some of those resources that exist. So we have a full site that has a welcome guide, seller guides, marketing templates that are ready to go that they just need to plop their pictures in and promote rather easily and quickly. So there's a ton of really valuable resources that are just, I think, helpful for any small business to help them think about new ways to market and sell. And this is just another example of some of the things that are included in our seller resources, FAQs, launching your shop guide. And then one more slide for the art wraps. Go ahead, one more slide. So this is a little bit of, just some mock-ups of our visual storefront program. Go ahead and go to it. So this is the Belmont in Montclair, a mock-up of the public space there. And then you can see there's a QR code that would link to your specific market for people to kind of talk and shop when strolling through town. You can go to the next slide. This was just a example of a design that can be creative, but essentially, wrapping the windows with whatever artwork you really want to feature, whatever story you want to tell. Next slide. And next slide. So part of the intention with this marketing effort is to help community members understand what it is you're going to be activating in your town, right? So your online marketplace space, so a way to visually sort of tell that story in a fixed way through these art wraps, and also participating business door decals that they might want to install to participate, and then ways to kind of repurpose maybe underutilized assets in the downtown. And this is the cost for the 1 to 5 pieces, $3,000. They're about a 2-week turnaround to print and install. And that's it. And that's me. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. You can text or email. Happy to elaborate, but I'm happy to take the questions as well.
Check.
Yes, so through this a little bit, for instance, I want to buy $100 gift card for Beyond Main. I don't know where I'm going to use it yet. Okay. So it comes into my digital wallet. I want to give it to my daughter. I transfer the card to her.
So no, what you would do is you would go to beyondmain.com, purchase your Millburn gift card online. You would email, you would just send it right to your daughter through the site. You can email it to her. She receives a unique code that's unique to her gift card. She then receives instructions with that card to go and activate that card, and then she has the funds in her wallet to use at any given trip or any combination of trips.
Okay.
Yeah.
She goes and buys something at Vicky's store. Decides she doesn't love it. What happens?
She would return.
Impossible.
You're like, what?
I would say-
Store credit over. That's exactly what happens, probably. It's up to the store because we have, for us,
Right,
the sale
because
has left
it's a
our.
digital nightmare to navigate that.
Ex-
So once
yes.
the sale is done,
The sale is
Right.
done, because for us, the funds have already been transferred to the business, so
Yeah.
there's really nothing more for us to do. For the
Right.
store is gonna have to
Right.
issue a store credit to the customer.
So you don't have problems with people that have bought products, not, of course not from shelves, but from other places where they want to reverse the sale. I mean, you don't so that's out of your realm.
No, we definitely have refunds that take place. It's just she was asking about a specific gift card refund, how that would work, yeah. So no, there's definitely refunds that happen. There's items that the inventory may not be accurate from time to time,
But
right?
for the gift card, it's a done sale.
It's a done sale. Once the funds leave the customer's wallet and are received by a store, then that's the store's policy that takes over. Yeah. Yeah, we don't issue it back to their wallet.
And I was gonna ask you are you?
No, my other question is that $100,
Mhm.
there's no expiration on that.
No, there's no expiration. Yeah. Yeah.
Assuming you're in business.
Assuming, yes, yeah.
So-
something from the Bahamas.
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah.
can you tell us out of the programs out of the
Community.
the community programs, what our neighbors have done with you? I know Montclair,
Yes.
Summit.
Yes,
And
Westfield.
Can you lighten us in terms of what program they purchased from you in terms of?
Yeah, they've all been different. We are still a newer organization, I would say. So we've tried to learn and simplify to make each new community a little bit more easier of a process, right? So we've been evolving alongside our partners, right? So in Montclair's case, they received a grant, right, that allowed them to invest in creating like a digital online experience for their downtown. And so they chose to develop kind of a custom program with us where they were able to gift out 100 seats on the platform. Or the intention was to gift out eventually 100 seats. We're at about 50 right now in terms of usage. And so they're continuing to kind of utilize that grant to help businesses come online.
And that was for a fixed price.
That was for a fixed price. Yeah, that was the $50,000 grant that we are working within. And then in Westfield's case, they did a co-op program where they subsidized the first year. And then businesses kind of took over their subscription after the first year.
So that wasn't on your menu either.
No, yeah.
I mean, should we, I'm just asking, the reason I'm asking is I just want to see how where we would fit in terms of all these different neighboring communities. I mean, so it sounds like towns come to you and say, we may not want your menu, we may want to give you X amount and have you do this.
Yeah, that's definitely an option. The $15,000, the town square package was developed with the kind of understanding of how many businesses we thought it took to reach a critical mass that was interesting for the community to start to engage. So we felt 25 businesses participating in the program was a really great target. And then the prices associated with the seats that it would take for 25 businesses to be serviced through a downtown market. Yeah.
And I just have two other questions.
Mhm.
One is, how long does it take the merchant to get the funds?
From the gift cards?
Yeah.
Well, the funds are batched daily, so it's at the end of the day, anything that transpired before 5 o'clock that day will batch into their bank account. So it's 24 to 48 hours, 48 hours on the high side, depending on if it came in after the daily batch. It was like a day and a half it would take.
Yeah, that's actually, in today's world, that's a long time actually. Generally it's all it's turning into one day. I know some merchant in this market. And the other thing, what was the other thing I was going to ask? The other thing, when you were here last, I discussed with you reviews. Has your policy shifted at all in terms of, the retail world has turned into a review world, and all of a lot of the younger clients or people that I see they want to read reviews, they want to write reviews.
Mhm.
So have you, as your policy, involved at all with this?
So what we have included is testimonials. So right now we allow the businesses to control the testimonials that they publicize on their page. And that's our starting point, I will say. Like, we're gonna constantly be looking at the role of reviews and how we incorporate that customer feedback on the site. But for me, it's important that the business be able to showcase what they're about first and let that come forward before, maybe opening up to public comment on their Beyond Main pages. Yeah, but
I actually think
testimonials.
that's a good idea. I think that's really important that people can leave, positive, at least positive feedback for the merchants, because people want to read that.
Yeah,
They want to buy the gift card after they read the review.
yeah.
In my experience.
Yeah, they want to hear the story. They want to hear about someone's use case, right? Or interaction at that. Yeah, it definitely influences patronage for sure. And so right now, our first step is giving the business owner the opportunity to gather those testimonials or use testimonials that they really feel like allow their business to shine in the way they want them to be perceived first.
I have a couple questions. Yeah, sorry. So you mentioned that it works through Shopify. Shopify.
Mhm.
If we have Wix, is that on your agenda or?
Wix
would it
is
have to
one.
be Would it
Yeah.
have to be uploaded like each
So
item?
we can do mass, we can do like a bulk, you can export and then do an import.
Mhm.
It's obviously not as simple as the integration with
Right.
Shopify, but that's kind of our today solution.
Okay.
And then yes, Wix we know is a widely used platform, so we're looking at ways to possibly integrate with Wix as well as Square is actually our
Yeah.
next one we're trying to tackle. And then Wix was actually third on the list.
And then I was looking up like the Westfield and I saw that so you purchase through Beyond Main and then do you pick it up at the store or does it get sent to your house?
It's really up to what the business wants to offer.
Okay.
So we create automation for buy online, pick up in store, curbside, the local delivery, or several local deliveries, depending on your, how far you want to go for a fee for free, the business chooses. And then also you can set up shipping, either flat rate, or we do integrate with USPS rates, just to capture the cost as best we can at the time of the transaction. It's not integrated with tracking or anything like that. So the business owner still has to kind of conduct the shipping on their own, but we can capture the correct fee for it against the order at the time of the sale.
Awesome.
I have a
Questions?
question. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tracy.
One is I wanted to just follow up on something Jackie was asking. I was trying to understand this as well. So just to take her example a little further, someone buys $100 gift card, they go to Vicky and buy gifts for $60 and then there's still $40 left. Can that 40 then be used at any other participating business? Okay.
Yep.
So that was first question. Second question, I guess it's a bit of a financial question. So there's no expiration date? Like there's no
No,
expiration
so we're
date
not a
at all?
traditional credit card, right?
Right.
So it's a gift card. And so there is no expiration. I mean, you can think about it like a store gift card.
Right.
It's sort of the same policies that apply.
So then I guess that leads to my financial question. So the unspent funds, so let's say $25,000 of gift cards are sold and we know not everybody uses their gift cards or they sit around for a while. So those funds are with you, like once they're purchased, but they sit with your company?
They sit, so it depends on what stage they're at. So if the customer has actually activated that card, then those funds are assigned to a specific customer. If the customer has not taken the action to activate the gift card, then it sits in like a holding account, like an online holding account with us that's designated for gift cards.
And it just sits out there for perpetuity. Is there some point at which?
Well, we send reminder, we send nudges and notifications and reminders.
So like, do you see a large, do you know what percentage of gift cards?
Yeah, not a large percentage that's
stay
open.
Unspent? Okay.
Yeah, we have about a 70% redemption rate within like the first 40 days of gift cards being given. And usually it's like balances that are left, like $7.50 or
Mhm.
$10.25, you know,
Right.
they just kind of sit against activated card accounts.
Okay, and is there some point at which it literally just sits there in perpetuity, those funds?
You know,
They're kind of
it's-
like unclaimed
it's kind of
funds in
like
some way?
a little no man's land right
yeah,
now.
okay.
We don't have
Just
we don't have the
curious.
history to kind of understand,
Mhm.
yes, what is too long, right? I think that's
Okay.
sort of the
Okay.
core
But
question.
you're sending
now.
reminders and reminding people to. use
Yeah,
them.
there's nudges that are given to active card holders, like you have funds available, or if they, more so on the side of if they haven't activated at all. We really want them to try to activate as quickly as possible, so then the funds are available to them when they need to use them
But
and
thanks
not
for
forgotten about.
compiling all the follow-up info. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I have a question. First off, Amanda has a question when I'm done. When I'm done, she can come on. Can you talk about the program you're running in Summit with their Sid?
Yeah, so Summit was a version of a co-op too. So businesses were given a credit to if they joined. So if they were refunded essentially 50% of the fee. Our offering was a little different at the time. We have way more capabilities now than we did when we first began working. Summit was our very first community, our very first pilot that we did. So our technology has definitely evolved quite a bit since then, since 2019. But that was the program. It was a co-op. So businesses were refunded. Actually, no, I take that. They paid half the subscription. The way we set it up was they paid half the subscription, and then the SID paid us the other portion, and we just notified the SID every time a business would join. You know, and invoice that way.
And how many businesses are engaged in Summit?
There's about 12, I think, that are still actively engaged in Summit. We only had about 15 total for the whole program. Yeah, when we started.
And why do you think that is?
Partly because we were so new and, you know, it was also pre-COVID, and, you know, my experience with small business sector is at that time, there was still about 70% of small businesses did not have a website at all. And even very few had e-commerce component to it. So we've seen about 10 years of technology growth in the last 2 years in terms of adoption. So we're in a different place today than we were then. But part of it was us being so new, being a startup, also then COVID happening and kind of like everyone finding their own solutions for their business independently. And obviously the SID was very focused on other things, as they should have been, right, with COVID measures. And so I think it just kind of got paused for a while. So we had a really good start, and then it was like kind of had to like stop. But when it was running for holiday, they saw about 25,000 in sales for the holiday program pre-COVID. So it was, I mean, for the businesses that participated, it was very successful. It was a good program.
I have a question. Do you ever, what happens in a situation where a customer has like $3 on their card and they have to add to it?
Oh, no, so it just, it'll zero out. So then at that point, the merchant would take the $3. If it's online, then our system just does it. The merchant has to do nothing. But if they're in the physical establishment, they take the $3 and then the customer would have to pay with the,
But
cash.
does the merchant have to know what's on that card before they bring that transaction?
If there's not enough funds when they ask to redeem it, it won't go through. They won't be able to. They'll have to.
It'll just take that and then say you owe whatever.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
Are there ever physical cards as an option?
That's a good question. We've definitely been asked that from time to time. There are a couple options I'm exploring, not credit card styles, but I don't know if you've ever gotten them in the mail as like a promotion where it looks like a gift card, but it's like actually kind of paper. It's like got a code on it. It's like a discount. So we're contemplating some offerings like that in the future, but for now it's just a total digital offering.
Don't forget Amanda.
Amanda? Oh,
She has a question.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, Amanda.
Okay, I wanted to piggyback on what Tracy was asking about. I know you have the statistics on when people buy these cars and how long they wait to use them. With the pool of money that's sitting there waiting to be used, is there any plan, or has there been any investigation as to whether that money could be in an interest-bearing account, something that could be working for the community versus just sitting there?
I mean, that's a great idea. I'm definitely open to exploring opportunities. I just don't know I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the legalities around some of that, but I'm happy to continue those conversations. I think it's a great idea.
How long is the contract? You know, let's say we spend $15,000. That's for what year? Is that for 1 year?
For 1 year, for 25 businesses to have full e-commerce capabilities. Yeah, and that's really up to you how you decide to continue. With Montclair's case, we've been able to continue the subsidy because they had the grant funds to support it. And other communities, they've passed the fee, they've given the opportunity for the business to take on the fee of the $600 or the $360 for the year and to continue participating in the program. And the Business Improvement District just continues to market it as a community offering, a community gift card. And that's their role, right? Is maintaining kind of the marketing side of things. And the business assumes the financial portion at some point.
This is my last question. I'm gonna be quiet after this.
Got a long agenda after this, Rick.
I'm gonna be quiet.
Holding up your
This is the last
breast here.
question. Is in your network, how many towns have 25 stores participating? How many?
We have two. We only have 3 communities right now that we're working with. 2 of them are at that mark. Yeah, and then we definitely see more activity with
So
those.
we could expect to fill that.
Yeah, I think you definitely would be able to fill that. Yeah.
And now I have one more question. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh my gosh.
While we have you here.
Yeah.
So if we do a pilot, let's say for a year, and then a bunch of people buy these cards, if we were to, hopefully it would be successful and we would continue, but if somehow we didn't continue, what would happen to those cards that people had? Like if they hadn't spent them yet?
Well, it would stay with the customer. So we would either have to refund the customer their gift purchase, or they could transfer it into using, I would think about it though, as like what businesses would stay on, not as you're not going to continue, because what actually happens is once the bid kind of launches it, and then if the businesses choose to stay on, it continues to thrive, and then they can continue to accept those funds, right, that are circulating out in the community. If businesses decide to drop off, then they won't be able to accept those funds that are out there available for customers to spend with them. So that's essentially what happens.
So it could expire.
It doesn't really expire. It's just how many businesses would they be able to utilize that card with is essentially what it comes down to. Yeah.
Following through on that theme, if I buy a Beyond Meat, am I buying specifically Millburn
Yes.
versus Summit
That was
versus
my next
Montclair?
Yeah, you're buying Millburn and it's
You're
locked
buying
to Millburn businesses.
It's not transferable.
Correct.
So for if the 25 businesses, is that just the gift card or is that the full e-commerce?
Those are full e-commerce, yeah. And the reason why they're full e-commerce is because, again, going back to creating that like critical mass of desire and marketability, people want to see goods and services to buy. They don't just want a gift card. Like I can tell you that flat out. They want to see what's unique about a business and find and discover unique things, even if they're going to go to that physical establishment to make a purchase, but they want to see what's out there.
I have one more question.
Mhm.
You mentioned the scheduling for
Yeah.
this. Do you have a timeline for that?
Yeah, this spring. So with our We Shop program, it will launch April, early May. So the scheduling component will be at the very latest with that launch.
Thank you.
Do you help the business get their page off the ground?
Yeah, so in the onboarding process, we have those workshops that we can host either virtually or in person. We tend to do a minimum of 1 and up to 3. We can work with Steve to like organize those so that they're at the right time, they're at the right place for business attendance. So we do group workshops, which are really successful in facilitating onboarding and adoption. And then we also can offer general support one-to-one should they have questions as they're going through the guided tutorials or the software. The software is pretty prescriptive. If you've ever used like TurboTax to file your taxes, it's very similar. Like it's kind of, there's a really step-by-step process that we walk them through the software that hopefully takes a lot of the guesswork out of how do I do this, but we're always there if they need
I imagine
support.
there are merchants that don't know where to start, that are actually need to
Hands-on.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and that was a consideration, I'm sorry. That was a consideration that came up at our November meeting and something that we talked about is there's definitely going to need an onboarding experience for some of our merchants.
We found the group workshops to really help solve a lot of that challenge because they can sit alongside their peers if they're afraid to ask a question. It's a lot of time the peer is asking a question. It can help them feel encouraged about what they're doing and reassured from us, but also from them that they're doing the right thing as they're going through and just calms nerves. So it's group workshops I like to do. I think they're really helpful for seating participation.
Anybody else, any questions?
So would you say the Montclair program existing now is your most robust in terms of ranking Montclair, Westfield, Summit? Is that
Correct.
their
That's,
assessment?
yeah, Montclair is actually considering jumping to the white label this year. So we're actively talking to them about expanding the program. They've been very happy with, even though it's small, it's, for them, right, having a business district maybe similar to the size of Millburn and Short Hills, they see the future potential that they can grow into with it. And it's a place that they want to cultivate. So they've been very encouraged with what's gone.
Okay, thank you again
Thanks,
for coming.
everyone.
Thanks for all the information.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Thanks for coming.
Okay. Township committee report. Annette, do you have anything to share with us?
I do not have any.
Business administrator report, Mr. Molden.
So I have 2 reports. On January 24th at 9 a.m., there will be an info session regarding the resurfacing of Lot 14. There is a concept plan developed by the engineer working on the project, and so any property owner that or property owners that are abutting that lot have been notified, and anyone that's interested can come to town hall to hear that session. Lot 14 is, yeah, it is, you enter off of Short Hills Ave and you exit onto, or no, you can enter off Millburn and Short Hills and then exit off of Short Hills. Additionally, there was a follow-up letter sent to businesses who are currently being picked up or in the vicinity of businesses who are being picked up by Giordano for garbage and recycling by the township. There will be an info session on February 16th at 8:30 a.m. at Town Hall for any businesses who have any questions about the transition, which will take place on June 1st to private contracting for those services. So a majority of businesses already have private contracts for garbage and recycling, and this will just be transitioning everyone who's currently being exempt to that new period on June 1st.
Thank you. All right, February 16th. February 16th at 8:30 here. Steve, are you going to pinch hit on the treasurer's report?
If you'll have me.
Sure.
All right, so attachment 6 in your package, as we have every month, is our operating budget. That is the final report for 2022 as we close the books.
As you'll see, the account balance at the end of the year was $28,487. That number has been diminished since then. This is as of the final day of the month. There were some December bills that were paid and cashed subsequent to that. But you'll see in the approved budget number, the total revenue that came in was $283,426. That was the approved. The actual was $303,524, which includes just over $19,000 in sponsorship. And then if you go down to the spent, we were at $281,260. So we pretty much hit our budget. We did quite well there. And then we do have a $20,000 contingency that we include every year. So the real budget, right, is not $303,524, but actually $283,524, because we try to not spend that $20,000 unless we absolutely need to. So going into this year, we did have a small surplus, and then we had a bank account of $28,000, as I said. Some expenses came out, and then we did receive today the first portion of the payment that we are owed by the town that is dedicated to my salary, but of course it goes into the general fund. So at this point, we have as of today, about $29,000 in the bank. So we're in good shape, and then we'll continue to receive additional portions of that money until we reach the total. And then we will eventually in April or May see our actual tax assessment come in. Ms. Urso asked the question as to when those letters are going out. I don't know exactly when the letters are going to the property owners. However, myself and the tax collector worked with the tax assessor today to finalize the roll. And so at this point, letters will be going out imminently, and then I'll have information about a public hearing, I believe is scheduled for February 7th, where if anyone wants to come in and voice opposition to their inclusion in the SID assessment, they can do so. And then eventually the tax letters will go out to the affected property owners. And just as a reminder, the assessment last year was 204. It will remain at 204. That doesn't mean that every individual property owner will pay the same rate that they did last year. The rate remains the same, but if your property increased in value, decreased in value, we've had a couple properties that were merged, things like that. So somewhat small changes. I think we're being assessed this year at 0.00077%. So no significant changes this year for the assessment, but it will be imminent.
Thank you, Steve.
Oh, and then I have 2023. So yes, skip ahead to attachment 7. You'll see, as I mentioned, the special assessment's 204. The township allocates $54,710. As I mentioned, we received about $14,000 yesterday. We do have some unexpended funds, as well as 2 grants, one from Essex County for public art, and then one from Citizens Bank in the amount of $2,000 for an MWBE grant program, which we'll talk about later. We do have $15,000 dedicated to public art from the Clean Communities program. That money, as we've discussed in the past, does not funnel through Explore. That is paid directly from the township, either to Amanda Dean's marketing firm, which is a contracted vendor to provide services with the township, as well as the actual artists who are paid either stipends or expenses related to installation. The budget is fairly similar to last year. I did break down the programs and services in a bit more detail, and this will help us as we go through the year, make sure that we're allocating money properly to various programs. You do see the $2,000 down there at the bottom with the Citizens Bank program, $4,000 that we put towards business seminars, which Mr. Cooper and I will talk about later with the Union County EDC. And other than that, I think we have a pretty good budget for this year, and we have a pretty good plan. So in terms of financial security, I think that we're going to perform just as well as we did last year.
Are there any businesses in arrears in terms of like that? This comes up every so often. Like is our collection 100%?
Last year we collected 203 out of 204. So $1,000 difference. Yes, it was pretty small.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Not pretty small, really small.
$1,000.
All right, next up, we have Amanda, Marketing and Events Report.
Amanda said her camera is not working, so we're just going to have to listen to her.
Yes, I apologize. So we are off to a fantastic start this year. I will go over public art briefly. We have a banner that's going to be installed at Style and Canine that is scheduled to happen by the end of the month, latest first week of February. And we are going to be doing the artwork on parking kiosks. That's the next on the slate to happen hopefully in February, but definitely by Founding Day. We've been working with ShopRite on a mural for them, and that towards the holiday season, they said they wanted to table it and revisit it in the spring. So I will be reaching out to them next week to continue those conversations. And then we also there's a new owner at Goldberg's that's also an artist that's going to be working on a piece for their building. And that should be in for Founding Day as well. And then I'm just doing planning and research in general at this point for the rest of the year so that I can start to work with other artists for installations for the summer and the second 2 quarters of the year. So the dates that are in this schedule, they are dates that will most likely move, but we wanted to get in there. As far as the calendar goes.
Amanda, we're losing you a little bit. I don't know if you moved away from the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I have to look straight at this. So as far as the calendar goes, Steve and I were conceptualizing this around the holidays, and we've spent the last few weeks really ironing this out, spacing it out, and choosing to move forward with some things, adding some new items. So just some highlights, and I do want to just say that we had our first marketing committee meeting yesterday, which was an awesome meeting. Lex was there, Tracy and Rena Patar from Keller Williams are on that committee. So we got a lot of really great information and feedback, as well as we had our kickoff meeting for Restaurant Week, which we're going to have for the first time. We had that meeting and got feedback there, which was really helpful. So we have a lot of great support with this schedule. A few things and a few dates are going to change. We'll present the final schedule at the February meeting. Highlights for you. This year, we're going to have 4 to 7 merchant mixers or open houses. The first one is going to be on March 9th at the new business called Interior Motif. It's on Upper Millburn Avenue. They're really a sharp business, professionals. This is not their first location. And we're looking forward to celebrating them and other new businesses that have come along and will by that date. So we hope you all can join us there. As far as education, we have 10 different seminars and trainings scheduled so far for the year. And the first one that's coming up is a UC EDC tax prep seminar, and that's going to be on February 15th at 9 a.m. It is a webinar only. It is not in person. And then we have 8 signature events that are happening, and the first one of those is going to be our Restaurant Week, which will take place March 20th to March 26th. I already have a small committee to just help us with guidance and industry feedback, and that includes Common Lot, Millburn Deli, the Millburn Standard, Boxcar, and Splurge, and we have a few others that I'm waiting to hear back on. So we're really looking forward to planning that and having it be a nice new event for the town, and also a way for our businesses to collaborate and build long-term relationships with their resources. We have 7 community events on the calendar as well. The first one is here that's happening on Sunday, March 5th. And they're really very cognizant of the businesses downtown. I've met with them about that. I'm going to be sending some information to the businesses of how they want to collaborate and make it easier to participate in the Lunar New Year Festival. So that's coming up, and I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions at this time?
Questions?
We'll stay busy.
Yes.
Thank you for all the work on this.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you so
Making
much.
it all happen, even more so.
I
Thanks,
think she
Amanda.
has one other item.
On social media.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So Steve had volunteered me to do social media training, which a lot of people need help with, but everyone's at different points with their social media. So I had my first one yesterday with Oxford Jewelers, and it went really well. We talked about different resources and templates for creating posts, what type of content, hashtags, all that. We just started where they were. I asked what some immediate goals were, and then we looked at what steps that they could take to get there. I have 2 more tomorrow, one with the new business, The Ethical Mattress. The other one is with Splurge. And then next week I have another one lined up with Amy Jo Pilates. So it's really nice to be able to sit down one-on-one and talk to people and help them take their next steps and stepping up their game on social media. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Okay. Advisory Committee CETA report from Jackie. If you please.
Good evening, everyone.
Sure.
So we had our first CETA meeting, which was held on Tuesday morning. I'm happy to report that we will be sponsoring our second annual Founding Day celebration on Saturday, April 22nd, with a rain date of Sunday, April 23rd. That will also be coinciding with Earth Day. So as we did last year, we engaged in a very robust programming with our partners, Green Team, Environmental Commission, Historical Society, Art Advisory, Paper Mill, and of course, Explore. So we will be running the program similar, sort of the 10 to 12 in the morning. Oh, and the Boy Scouts also assisted us in our cleanup. And then have the activities around some things at Bauer, sort of the 12 to 2-ish, including their band, that's their period piece band from the
19th century band.
19th century, thank you, Steve, as well as their costumes. We had a calligraphy workshop, we had historic art tours. And this year, what we're going to do in conjunction, both CETA and Explore, we're going to have some art galleries set up in around the community. The art alley, the rose garden, the courtyard, and there is a block of space across from the All Together Now on Main Street in Millburn, where we'll have both our local artists, which Amanda has so diligently put together from a result of all our public art program and our mural project, as well as in conjunction with a company called Main Street Pops. So we will be working with them and very closely with Explore to have a variety of these, what I'll call pop-up art galleries with our local artists, as well as other local artists from New Jersey. And it will be painting, perhaps some sculpture and some other kind of contemporary and traditional art. So that's scheduled. Please mark your calendars, everybody, April 22nd with a rain date of April 23rd. We also discussed the CETA Sunday performances, and we have scheduled on May 21st. That one we think will be in Bauer, but the location may change, and we're working in conjunction with both the Chinese Association and the Indian Association with a focus on dance performance. The time slots will be confirmed, but it's 1 to 3, 2 to 4, something in that nature, where each of those groups will be given a time to display some and participate. There are many young children in our community that do dance with a variety of instructors, all in Millburn Short Hills. So that will take place on May 21st, rain or shine. The other dates for programming to be discussed are June 11th, July 23rd, and October 1st. Stay tuned for more details. And as of next week, there'll be a save the date reminders going out for our stores, for people to share on social media. So I'm going to encourage all my board members here, as well as my CETA participants. There'll be also an opportunity to volunteer for throughout the day, and there'll also be a Google list and a link. We have 3 people that will be chairing the volunteer signups. So I'm hoping it'll be a terrific day, and please participate in any capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Okay, next, our executive director. Sorry, please.
Thank you, Chairman. 2 quick items. The first, you have in your packets there is attachment number 9. Governor Murphy in his state of the state, I should say, focused on what are probably the most antiquated and dysfunctional liquor laws in the nation. And it has been a long time coming to try to modernize the liquor laws in this state. It's one thing that hampers economic development in this community and many others in Essex, Union, Bergen. And so we're happy to announce that the governor is now proposing to phase out the population cap, which is limited to 1 liquor license per every 3,000 people in a community. There'll also be new opportunities for local review, which will hopefully expedite the process. And he hopes that through this program, there'll also be a reduction in cost. As many of us have heard, a liquor license in New Jersey can go for $1 million, which is just, there's no words to describe something as bizarre as that. So we certainly need liquor license reform in this state. We need it in this community. Erin Ryan from Common Lot has been a staunch advocate for this, as has Downtown New Jersey, which is the advocacy group that I'm on the board of. And so I'm very glad that this is happening, and the governor has asked the legislature to take it up. So hopefully our local legislators will support this as well. Our regional local. Then I am going to, I took up an idea that Tracy had put out a while ago about surveying you as board members, as well as the advisory committee, about some of your thoughts on the organization, challenges, opportunities, programs that you like, programs that maybe you think we can phase out. So it's a short survey that I'm going to send out via a Google document. It should take you all of 10 minutes, but hopefully responses from you and the advisory committee will help us streamline some of our plans and think about 2024. But I think it'll be a good exercise to have you guys be able to speak in a candid forum. And so all of those will be fed back into an Excel sheet. They'll be aggregated. Amanda and I can review them, and hopefully we'll get 20+ voices to submit that. So that'll be coming as an email link that you'll receive soon. And then we do have a couple of action items that I'd like to discuss. So if you go to attachment 10 in your packets, if you all recall, we had the Union County Economic Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit EDC based out of Cranford. They came in last year, presented to us, and we ended up doing 2 programs with them. One about social media and another about small business development planning. And so we did receive $2,000 from the Citizens Bank Investors Bank Foundation for an application that we put in very early last year for minority, women, and immigrant business advocacy services. We had asked for 10,000, we ended up getting 2,000. So that's had to scale back the program, obviously. But when I was speaking to the folks from UC EDC, I know that they do have a big focus on minority and women and immigrant businesses. So spoke with them about putting together a program for 2023. If you go to the second page, there's a schedule. The first is a tax preparation for small businesses, a webinar that Amanda mentioned. I think anytime you can learn more about doing your taxes better, it's a good thing. So we'd like to do that in February. That will be free as part of the other 4 events. And then it's basically the last Wednesday or Tuesday or so of the month going forward between March and June, writing a business plan, understanding your financial statements, projecting financial results, and then pricing for small business profitability, which I think is a very interesting concept. These will all be focused on minority, immigrant, and women businesses. not only from a content perspective, but from an invitation perspective. This will be open to the entire community, entire business community, but we are going to try to focus on inviting those particular stakeholders. So the proposal is $6,000, of which $2,000 will come from the grant. So tonight I am asking for your approval to provide the additional $4,000, which will come out of our business advocacy budget line. These are the types of things we have that budget line for. And so with that, I would appreciate any questions or approval to move forward.
And Steve, this is only open to our constituent members of the.
Correct. This is only open to property owners and business owners within the SID. The focus, as I said, will be on minority immigrant women
Well, I
businesses.
understood the focus. I just wanted to make sure it was for Millburn Short Hills.
Yes, and Ryan had a comment on the contract itself that he wanted to talk about before we considered any action.
Yeah, so actually what I'll do is I'll ask Steve first for clarification as whether you're requesting the appropriation as distinct from entering into the contract. If you want, you can break it up that way. You could see them as separate issues, right? There's a commitment by the SID to the balance due. The contract would be a second question, which the board could take up at this time or a subsequent time. If you were to consider it now, I would just ask that it would be approval to enter into a contract on terms substantially, materially similar to what's before you. I do have concerns about some of the exact terms in here that I wanted to clean up. I don't want to get into an open session. It's nothing of great significance. It's just a lawyer being a lawyer and making sure the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. So just to clarify.
So authorization to enter into an agreement
on terms substantially similar to those presented
and
here.
authorizing the expenditure of $4,000.
That'd be very suitable. Thank you.
6,000 total, 4,000 out of our budget. Correct.
2,000 from the grant. Check.
And these seminars are gonna be held in here in town hall or somewhere?
Yes, so the first one, the tax seminar, we thought was best if we could get as many participants as possible. So that's going to be a webinar. It'll also be recorded and then put on our social media channels. So it'll be accessible going forward. And then the 4 MWBE seminars will be in person here in town hall.
And will those be Zoom, or they'll be in person, no Zoom option, correct?
I would prefer them to be in person. There's a little bit better of an attendance and
Collaborative,
conversation and collaborative. Yes, and we had over 20 attendees for both seminars last year in this room, which was perfect for a conversation.
Great.
That's good. Okay, so at this point, we could take a motion to authorize the expenditure of $6,000 for this program and further authorize Stephen to execute an agreement with UC EDC substantially similar to the one you see before you for these 5 programs. Do we have a motion? Anyone want to move it?
Motion.
Okay, second?
Well, that was all.
Second.
Okay. Want to take a roll call on this since we're spending money?
Sure. Alexa Clark?
Yay.
Tracy Katz Levine, yes. Michael Parlavecchio?
Yes.
Annette Romano?
Yes.
The second item is an authorization to release an RFP for audit services. As we've discussed as a board, we in the last year have paid about $7,500 towards audits. There was an additional expense related to the Hurricane Ida fund. We were required to do a financial report on the $420,000 that we brought in. So, but still, we were paying about $6,500. That was a vendor that was inherited from the town. It's the town's vendor. So it made sense in year 1 to keep them for continuity. In speaking to other SID directors in the area, that is quite a high number. And someone that's been in nonprofit as I have, it's a big number. And so I think we can probably do better. And so that doesn't mean we won't continue with our current vendor. That may end up being the best option, but I'm asking for you folks to authorize me to proceed with the document that's labeled attachment 11. It's a very short RFP, very common for small nonprofits as ourselves. Mr. Cooper, if you have any comments before anyone asks questions.
I don't, I did review the RFP prior to this week's meeting, and I don't have any comments and happy to address any questions.
Steve, how will this be advertised?
So I'm going to mail this directly to probably 6 to 7 local auditors that have nonprofit experience, including some firms that were referred to me by other said directors. And so I think based on that, we should receive a pretty fair response rate.
Steve, do you have any idea what other states, in your experience, what are they paying for these services?
We should be in the ballpark of probably $300 to $3,500. Our audit's very simple. I mean, it's not a lot of cash in out. You know, it's just pretty much one big payment. And
Checks.
yeah. So I think there's substantial savings. Now you'll see in the budget, we erred on the side of caution. We did put $6,500 towards audit in the event that we can't find a new vendor. My hope is that we will free up that money and try to go for something. I would be very happy if we got something sub 4,000. I think that'd be a fair number. And then, you guys have to take it.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be a formal resolution, but just a motion to authorize the release of this RFP. Motion, please. Second. All in favor? Aye.
And then the final item is just your authorization for me to go out and solicit proposals in a more informal way than certainly with the audit for both social media training as well as search engine optimization training. Those are two huge issues for many of our businesses, learning how to utilize Instagram better, TikTok, YouTube videos. Search engine optimization is huge, especially if you're a restaurant or a retailer and you're looking to make sure you're on that first page of Google. We are really focused on education this year. We saw that from the survey that we did last year. We need to get this information out to people. So I'd like to have various conversations with different vendors. We don't have a timeline at this point. We don't have any set dates. But between now and hopefully February, worst case scenario, March, I'd like to come back to you guys with some proposals as to what we might be able to do. We do have money in the budget for this. We've allocated, I believe, about $2,000. So I want to see if I can potentially have one vendor do both, maybe even get a pro bono. We know some folks that might be able to do that. So the scenarios might be different, but I want to come back to you guys with multiple options.
Okay. And this is just to come back. This is not to expend any money or a contract.
No, I just want you guys to be aware that I'm going to try to go out and solicit that, and hopefully it results in us spending the money.
All in favor?
And it's also so Vicky knows that we're doing social media training.
It's on the record. Just before we break, everybody remember, please sign the conflict of interest form before you leave. And give it to
I do have a request from Mr. Weiner. He asked if it was possible to consider changing the March meeting from the 16th to the 14th. I do need to check with Township. Wait, is there I don't think there's a conflict. Can you tell us if there's a TC meeting? It might be a moot point.
Are we able to do that the next meeting, or does it have to be done tonight?
And we can wait.
Yeah, just not, yeah, well, no, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll make it work.
So we're
All right,
moving
so
the March 16th
meeting
meeting
to
to
the 14th.
Tuesday, March 14th.
just make sure there is a plan.
I was going to ask you that next. Planning board might be,
Planning boards are
or the zoning
Wednesday,
board,
Wednesday.
right? Zoning board might be.
Monday and Wednesday.
Zoning's Monday.
Mondays
What
and
else is
Wednesdays.
Tuesday? Is there?
The council on
Township.
Tuesdays, might be environmental or something like that. Rec.
It's not a township.
March 14th is the environmental commission.
It's not meeting.
merchants push out their Facebook ads and pay to push out ads?
A handful, a very small number. I would say overall, Facebook is probably the least used medium.
Yeah.
Instagram is where most of the vast majority. And then there are some like Vicky who do a TikTok Instagram combination.
Which might be prohibited by the government. 3 cents.
All right, so we're gonna move to the 14th.
If you guys are good, I think maybe should we memorialize it, Ryan?
Yeah, if that's the consensus, then you'll need to do that, you'll need to re-advertise.
I
Yeah,
will.
we have to re-advertise for sure.
I think, I didn't even check my schedule. I'm okay, we can do it.
Great.
Okay, March 14th at 6:30. Do we need a motion?
We'll advertise- Yeah, motion to change the March meeting date to March 14th. All, have a motion, please.
Motion.
A second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
And if you could all return at least the
Yes.
oaths and the conflicts of interest. And then just Tracy and Jackie and Lex, I have documents I need to give you before you leave.
Okay, and if, unless anybody else has any questions or comments, we'll have a motion. Next meeting is Thursday, February 16th, 6:30 in this very room. And we will have capability, Zoom capability.
Correct.
And how are we leaving, just one last question, how are we leaving with the gift cards that we discussed in the future?
You want to put it on the February agenda?
Yeah, I think we should keep talking about it.
I think we should,
No break.
yeah. I think we should speak amongst, Steve, did you speak to the director in Montclair as well?
So I spoke to the director in Montclair, as well as the director in Summit. Montclair it's an incongruous program. It's a much larger program, far better funded. It doesn't match up with us. Summit, I did speak to the ED. It's a very similar SID to us financially in terms of businesses. Her feeling was that Beyond Maine was an excellent company to work with. She felt that they were reliable, responsive. The businesses that participated seemed quite happy. Her challenge, and I think Kate acknowledged it tonight, was that the turnout was very low, between 12 and 15 businesses. And in terms of broad marketing, they're only in 3 or 4 towns. And so it's difficult to drive attention because there's so few people looking at it. It's not as if they're in 30 different towns. It's the challenge of being a startup business. So I learned some things tonight that I think were valuable, especially the difference between the sort of full service package with the online sales and the gift card versus the gift card. But I think it's a conversation we should dedicate time to in February. But that was her feeling, was that they were a good company, just not large enough to necessarily make a difference.
Because it seems like the 25 business package, I mean, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like that was kind of an arbitrary number, and the fact that we pay money and hope to get to that, it almost seems like maybe we should consider, 7,500 and half of that, and then if we hit that, then invest more. But I think they should really, to do business, we should really protect our investment or,
Well, I think you'd need to line those businesses up before you spend any dollars.
Oh, yeah, I think that's good, but to get to 25, invest that money before you do that.
I mean, they do have that free program, right? And if you can't get people to sign up for something that's for free, you're not going to get signed for something to pay for. And then, of course, there's ways to divvy it up too, right? Montclair is covering half the cost. We could consider that. Maybe we consider half the cost of gift cards, which we would double the number of businesses participating based on the rate. So I think there's a whole host of things that we should talk about more in depth.
Was this shared with the advisory committee yet?
So it was shared with them at our December meeting.
What were the thoughts? Or,
the-
we don't have to talk about it now, but.
Well, I'll be quick. Their feeling was that it wasn't uniform. Some businesses said, I want a gift card and only a gift card. Others felt like they needed the online sales platform. It was pretty divided, to be honest with you, which I think just makes the challenge all that much more difficult. And so maybe it is a question of starting small and building up. I think we need to dedicate more time and thought to it at our next meeting. But I certainly agree with the chairman. I think if there is a free option, we can enroll people. That'll give us an indication of how many people might be interested in
And
participating.
then if it's fantastic, then we invest
The
more.
proof of the pudding will be.
Then we put more money or more towards it later.
I think.
I'm not sure if I want to talk about that too. I'm not sure if I agree with that, because it sounds like the free option is just a kind of beefed up directory.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know that I see a lot of value in the free option. We already have a directory. To me, the gift card is where the value is, like trying to get all the businesses and like families that are buying holiday gifts for their teachers, get them Millburn gift cards.
And that was
I
where
don't
this
know. To
this
me, the
conversation,
directory is not compelling.
yeah, this is where this started.
Yeah.
I wanted to know from the businesses, if we have this, would you participate?
Yeah.
And to what extent?
You wanna know from the community. I also think you wanna know from the community, would you, you know, what, no pun intended, you're buying, pun intended. You're buying, I will take it upon myself to reach out to some of the PTO related people that I know that are still in a leadership capacity there.
Yeah, I think there's certain times of year where people are going to be looking for gift cards, the holidays, end of school year.
Right.
The other times of the year, I don't think
Yeah,
it's gonna be a big.
I also think like, let's
Turn your
say-
microphone on, you get in trouble.
I also think like, if, let's say, a couple of businesses don't go into the program, it's not going to be all the whole Millburn gift card. Like, it's going to be like, they can only go to these certain businesses.
You know, a sticker on your window.
Yeah.
Accepted.
And
So
the
that can
last
get
thing I
confusing
wanna
and-
add is that a physical gift card, which sounds like they don't have,
Correct.
is really effective for small businesses to give out, you know, in other words, if, you know, for whatever businesses we have here, if you have a physical, somebody buys something and does something and you want to gift that to them, it's kind of nice to have something that you can give somebody or something in a gift card or.
It's in an email now.
And so I know that,
Yeah, it usually
Everything
is,
in an email.
yeah.
I mean, I have a
These days.
cabinet full of like Visa gift cards that have like $2 here, $3 there. $4
so I'll tell you what Cranford does. They don't have Beyond Maine. They have, I believe, Yifty. And they have physical cards, but you have to schedule a time to come in and the SID director actually gives you a physical card, which if you make me do that.
I think that's the right way to go.
I don't think so. No, and I mean, I'm being silly about it, but I think as we go into this emerging technology, there's always going to be logistical limitations, right? So some people like the idea of a physical gift card. That's great. But how do you get into the hand of the shopper?
Right.
It could be much more complicated. And so I think these are all pros and cons that we need to weigh as a board. It's not a simple decision. And in speaking to other SID directors, they're all sort of in the same boat of there's a desire to do this, but it hasn't necessarily been
Execution is-
successful or it's been prohibitively
There's no
difficult.
perfect solution.
No,
Yeah.
no, there isn't.
And it's gonna evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, in our budget, we have a kind of a line item shown for this gift card program, but it's not allocated to that. So if we decide not to go forward with a gift card program, we would just put it right back into the business advocacy
Right, there's a
line.
question, how much do you want to sink into
Right.
something like that?
Exactly.
What's the return
It-
for everybody?
Is there another, well, we had spoken to the Giftly people, do you remember?
The
back in
Gifty.
the- Yeah, Gifty.
Gifty.
I think the Yifty.
Yifty.
I think we had the Yifty.
Yifty. Well, I'll tell you this.
There is Gifty.
This conversation was going on at the end of 2020. It is now the beginning of 2023.
Right.
There's a reason it's taken so long. We've been very deliberate. We've gone through, I think, every option possible.
Mhm.
I think Beyond Maine is the best option if we want their product. I don't know if we want their product. I think we're not there yet. And so I feel like we've done as much research as we possibly can as at a staff level. We've met with these folks twice. They met with the advisory committee. We've turned over every rock. I think now it's a question of functionality and need.
Yeah,
I think,
And buy-in to your.
and buying it, you know.
yeah, I'm just kind of wondering. I mean, I love theoretically the idea of a Millburn gift card.
Yes.
But it seems like there's no great solution. I'm just also thinking, I'm looking at the calendar that you put together and everything that's coming and all the training that we're trying to do. I don't know, I'm feeling like maybe this is something that gets deferred, and we also wait to see if they build up their business more.
But then the
I mean-
training would be on, in other words, it'd be on them to do the training.
No,
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 the
I'm
other-
saying
the
we have so
ancillary
much
training.
other training.
Yeah,
We
the
have
training.
social
No,
media.
I know that, I'm just saying like,
Right.
like if we went ahead with it, they would set up the workshops to train the
understand.
merchants.
But it's work for us, it's getting the businesses to sign up, it's running the program, I don't know.
I just wonder.
I'm just feeling like
Worry about getting their
in
garbage.
the
picked up.
scheme of things, is it,
I just wonder
Is
whether
there
we
just
could dip
so
our
much
toe
other
in the
stuff
water
going on?
and just start, starting with half of the amount, like,
Yeah,
let's
maybe.
try it, and then if it takes off.
But if you don't have
If you
critical,
don't have
That's what they
critical
say,
mass.
yeah.
Well, that's hard.
Yeah.
We
then
need
you don't have enough of a product to
Well,
sell.
we need to pre-sell 25
Right,
businesses.
so if 10 businesses use it, it's like.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of the stores are,
But you're-
I think a lot of the stores are pretty specialty. So to have, they would have to constantly update their e-commerce website on that website. So if someone buys something that's out of stock, that also is horrible for
Mhm.
the business. So a lot of things are like, you only have 3 in the store.
Yeah,
You sell 2 that day and then 1 online,
yeah.
you're out, and then you have to update your website, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the,
Yeah.
so these cards I think are better in a way, but
I think there's also a percentage question, right?
Yeah.
So for argument's sake, there's 300 retailers, restaurants in the city. You get 30 of them. That's more than Summit, and it's 10%,
yeah.
right? And so you start saying, wait a second, maybe this, to make it legitimate, you'd probably have to get 100 businesses. They've never done 100 businesses in any town they've worked in.
Right, yeah, that's what we found out. Yeah.
Right. And so to do 15 businesses or 20 businesses, and we were talking about, less than 10%. So,
Or maybe and again, I don't want to, maybe they want to do it, maybe they want to give us a voluntary, maybe they want to start with us without charging, to see if this thing is going to take off before we pay the money.
They said you need 15,000 for.
So do we wanna?
why don't we continue our
Continue
discussions? Why don't we
discussion
try
and
to?
all
Put it on the agenda.
digest it
Why don't
a
we put it on
bit,
the agenda
and
and
then,
maybe,
yeah.
you can all ruminate on it. When you go
Yeah.
home tonight, you can think about Beyond Maine.
Okay.
Yes, you can sit there and.
With a fine cognac.
yeah.
On that note.
That's why he's the chairman. That's a leader right there. He's coming up with the ideas.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you.